embroidery, kind of freeform embroidery that I'm working on. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen that I attended a couple of courses last year in 2023 with Fleur Woods. One of them was painting on textiles, where I did this painting of the flannel flowers from my garden, and I've added in some fabric, and I'm a bit stuck on this because I need to add a third element up the top, and I'm not really sure what to do with it yet. But so it's just sitting here waiting. It's kind of like when I do quilts, I don't like to do one thing at once. So this one's on the go, and then I have started this project. And I have called it I See You and I Love You for two reasons. One, because all these textiles I just adore. These vintage, imperfect, but perfect, like the scrappier the better really, bits and pieces that I have collected and adore, and I don't know, it connects us to previous makers, which I really like. I like thinking about probably the women that have made these over the years. Like, some of this work is just so fine and beautiful, and like the colors they've chosen, really lovely through here. And it's also combined with some newer fabrics as well, because this one here is a Lucello fabric, who's an Australian fabric designer, quilt designer. And I mean, that's a really beautiful fabric, and I've enjoyed stitching that. So I'm working on this. And like, this is quite a big piece because I'm planning on working on it all through 2024. I can't believe it's 2024. A lot of people have asked me what I'm actually, like, how am I doing it? So what I have just done is I have tacked down with very big stitches, and you can probably see them pretty well on this blue piece of fabric in here, these fabrics into a kind of situation that I liked. And some of these will get trimmed down, like I've just cut roughly around things at the moment, and they will form a piece of work that incorporates all of these fabrics plus like stitching. So if we move back over here, this is the bit I have done so far, and I've embroidered the flower here and around these ones and done some of these leaves. I haven't finished up here, and you can see that it's loose at the moment. I will probably attach that to some degree through here, and maybe some seed stitching or some cantha type stitching. Weaving I will use to join in the edges of the work. And just here, I actually unpicked a little bit of the cross stitches that was on that work because I didn't like the color. I did like the color overall, but I didn't like it in my work. So, and just redid it in the blues, and then kind of wove that in as well. So this little doily here is very sweet as well. And then I really like, I don't even know what this is called. Is it a rosette? I believe it might be from a dress or maybe from a hat. I just really think it's quite stunning, and I'm looking forward to working on that. But at the moment I seem to be heading up this way. I tend to work in one area, and I do that. This is just, you know, besides those couple of courses I've done with Fleur Woods, who's an amazing teacher. If you get to go and learn from her, do so. I don't know what I'm doing. I just do what I like. And I guess that's the same way I learned how to quilt. I kind of just did what I wanted, and then learnt over the years about how to make it easier, and picked up things along the way. I have never attended a quilt class, which just astounds lots of people. I did live very close to a quilt designer who was very generous with her information, and she had some lovely people working with her that were also generous, but I just kind of worked it out along the way and what works for me. And that's what I'm doing here. But why I actually wanted to come on here. Oh, and if you're not interested in doing, you're going to find my thoughts all scattered. So sorry. If you're not interested in doing a big piece of work, but you really like vintage textiles, something like this might be better for you. This is just, I put this together in a couple of hours in bed one night. It's just some bits and pieces wool felt, or no, it's not wool felt, it's felted wool, and mine's from Sue Spargo. I really love stitching with it. It's very easy to put a needle and thread through, and she has some beautiful colors. So I have some of that in store, but not on our website, I guess, but I work with it a bit. Little bits of textiles, like this was this tiny little bit of a doily that I actually made this lovely little pin cushion with, or it's actually a scissor caddy, and it's a little chicken, and that's by an Australian designer, Jodie Rickrack. Rickrack's not her last name. Rickrack is her design name. But anyway, it was left over from that, and then, you know, this tiny bit of a doily that's been cut through that I wanted to add in, corner of a hanky, little bit. I love the drawn thread work, and I also really like white on white. So I really like that you get to use some of those pieces. It's a lovely little piece of embroidery and lace, and some more pins and needles. And this has become, and then I put just a piece of vintage lace here. So this has become my needle book for joyful stitching. But I'm really not here to talk about this project. You're going to find, I think I started this before, maybe I finished it. I am all over the place in my thoughts. I want to do all the things at once. I wanted to talk about my thread storage. So that's not great for the camera because you had the handle of the basket. This is a basket. And in there, I have lots of threads I'm working on, beads. I have tried to organize my threads over the years, or over the year, I guess, in many ways. I'm going to move that out of the way. So there's a lovely girl that comes into the shop, and she had hers organized like this. It's not really working for me. This is on a, I'm not even sure what that's called, but a kind of carved bit of wood. So I do have some bits on there. I tried really hard to, I don't really want cards. Now I can't even find what I'm talking about. Maybe it's in this one. So I have this thread thing, which just is a bit of a mess as well. So I've had, you know, wooden carved things that you wind your threads around. They tend to come undone for me. Here's another one. I utilize, like that's a petit pan, wooden spool, and I wrap things around those, but none of it is really working. And lots of people have said to me, oh, why don't you try cards? Or like a common suggestion was pegs. Pegs aren't going to work for me because it's too organized. And I have come to the conclusion that I don't really want to organize it, which is quite interesting to my own mind, because I like my quilt pool's really organized. So I think it's because it's a lot scrappier type of project, and I love the scrappiness of it, and I love the vintage textiles. So I want more organization, but I want to use vintage containers. So, you know, it's got beautiful laces in here and beautiful wools, just so many. And just playing with this stuff makes it really beautiful. I do try and put like bits that I've kind of pulled apart and might be like part of a thread in here, and go through this little zipper pouch before cutting off another piece of thread, but that doesn't even always work. Anyway, I don't even know. This is what I'm up to at the moment. Amongst other quilts, I am going to try YouTube. I hope you're going to be here for the journey. You're going to have to give me some grace while I get used to it. And I will show you how to do some stuff, but I'm more thinking, I might turn you around to do this. So how do we do that? Might take a new video. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you are going to see me as you get me. I won't have makeup on a lot. I do wear makeup occasionally. I will have my sunglasses on my head for no apparent reason. I am planning on it being more like a kind of look at what I'm up to. There will be some videos of how to do things, more just to follow along in kind of my business, I guess, and bits of my life, because my life and my business kind of go into each other. I really enjoy a YouTuber called Amanda's Mercantile. She runs she's in America, she's young. She always looks very pretty on the camera. You're not going to get that here. She runs a vintage kind of booth, an antique booth in America, and she takes you looking for stuff and parts of her life. I really enjoy it. It's not really anything like my life, but what I like about her is just seeing how her business operates. She's quite honest about stuff, I think, and she just, it's interesting to see that kind of business, because I love vintage things and sell some vintage bits and pieces, textiles mainly. But so that's what I'm aiming for. A look at what I'm up to, a look at what I'm doing. It's the 2nd of January here today. I wanted to start because later this week, Otto and I are going on a journey, like a little one-night trip to Orange, which is about 4 hours from where I live. We have to go through Sydney to get there from Newcastle. And what are we doing? Oh, we're staying in a tiny house and we're looking at vintage shops and kind of eating some stuff. Like Otto has already made me agree that he's going to be having a sausage McMuffin for breakfast on our first morning, which I'm all there for. Actually, I love a sausage McMuffin. But it's just, something for us to do in the holidays. We are away this holidays next week. I've got one of my best crafting girlfriends coming to stay with her daughter, which is exciting. And last week and over Christmas and stuff, we had all my husband's family up, which was mostly great, with family mostly. Anyway, I'd love for you to follow along. I don't really know how YouTube works properly. I'm going to be off the cuff, flying kind of my own way. And I think that's something I kind of try and do in every aspect of my business. Like I'm part of a little chat online, and it's quite helpful. Like sometimes people are saying really interesting things. They have very different opinions about things than me sometimes. There's been discussions about paying your testers and things like that. Like I've got a quilt being tested at the moment, and the tester didn't want to be paid. I wanted to pay her. I've provided lots of fabric, as has the other creative that's involved in that project, like beautiful vintage fabrics that you just can't, like they're not easy to pick up. So we want to value her work because we need that work. We need somebody to read the pattern. We need somebody to work out that what we've got wrong, what's not clear, what could be better. And so like I really value the tester and think that it should be paid work, whereas some people seem to think that, it's part of the community, etc., etc. But let's be real here. Like I'm part of a quilting community. I also run a business, and when I release a pattern, I'm hoping it's going to make money and sell itself, like as well as bring you something that is really fun to make. So that's where I sit on that. But anyway, so back to that group. You're also going to get my mind going in 5 million directions. So in that group, the women are like, some of them are really organized in their business. They have goals and they have all sorts of things to make sure that they're tracking along and, reflecting on what they've been up to in the year. I don't operate like that. I do, I think a couple of the wholesalers think I'm pretty full on. I'm not used to working in an industry that is quite, I would say, behind the times on lots of things. I come from a legal background and I worked professionally for a long time, and I want to bring that level of professionalism into what we're doing, but I haven't so far. Maybe I will, being a real business goal orientated person. My business has grown kind of organically, and I've explored areas that I've liked to explore. And this year it's going off in a tangent that I never thought it would do, where I'm writing a pattern, or I've written the pattern. It's actually in production at the moment, and templates and papers and all the bits and pieces that come with that. for another designer that I know through collecting vintage fabric. So, you know, we're all over the shop. I'd love you to follow along. If you like my Instagram, if you like the bits of me, like lots of people say, I really like that you show bits of your life and you're pretty honest. I am pretty honest. I am from a Dutch background biologically. Like the family I grew up with is not Dutch, but my biological history as an adoptee is Dutch. And from what I know, or from what people tell me about Dutch people, is they can be bluntly honest, and I believe I have that trait. So here I am. I hope you like being here. Please follow along.